Back.
Like we've had people who make $0 in a month, and they don't want to leave when we tell them you shouldn't be here. We'll find them a new job, and they say I don't want to leave. I love this too much. So it's like one.
Are they doing outbound?
Mm-hmm.
Are they doing phone outbound?
Mm-hmm.
Cold.
Or no.
No, because the software.
They get it from the software. They get the phone numbers.
They get the phone numbers from the software. So they have some type of warmth by the time you call them.
Yep, it's all a warm call. The intro is always the same with our team. Whenever they call someone, it's, hey, this is Daniel Wax. We connected on LinkedIn. Just wanted to give you a shout, man. I don't want anyone to be a statistic in my network. So you got like a minute or two for us to just meet each other, see if we could connect the dots?
Yeah. Now I see why you sell so many units. I see why you sell so many units. I see why you sell so many units. I mean, fuck, dude. Like, that's a fucking no-brainer.
Welcome to the Business Owner Spotlight by AudateMedia. In this interview show, you will learn how to succeed through other people's stories, challenges that they overcame, and how they are winning in this new economy. You'll learn what to do in your business, what not to do in your business, and how others are succeeding. Tune in every week to discover new stories, new businesses, and new ideas.
Welcome to the Business Owner Spotlight, and today I have a special guest for you, Daniel Wax, the Vice President of Enterprise Sales for Connected. I just learned this weekend you guys are doing $3 million a month. Is that right?
$3 million this past quarter.
$3 million this past quarter. That's right. And
Yeah.
you did $3 million last year, and you did exactly what you did in a year in a quarter.
Mm-hmm.
How is that possible? Like, how do you even accomplish such tremendous growth and affluence?
Yeah. So I think it's two main tenets to it. The first of which is, one, building systems and processes in place that are going to allow you to see what other avenues you can expand into and grow into, allow you to scale. Second piece is always going to be people. So you can hire people, but how do you make it so that those people have influence on the newer hires after them?
Yeah.
Build vision top down, and you allow for your mission to go you to that first employee that you hire. That first employee is ingrained in the mission. You empower them to be a leader, and they pass that down so that your time isn't ever focused on that.
Gotcha. So what are some tips, not necessarily tricks, but what are some tips and processes that you do with a new hire to create that vision and to keep it going down to the lower ranking files?
Yeah. So, for instance, once someone's been with us for about 6 weeks, they have the opportunity to be a closer if they'd like to. And if they show a ton of results, we bring in a new group of hires every 6 weeks. And so we'll have, the C-levels, the execs come in and help out during that 1 week of training that they do in the beginning. We take our closers and our top appointment setters, and we have them come in and teach those new people so that they feel empowered to be a leader already and they're growing. And now the vision isn't just coming from the execs, it's coming from the people on the floor who are right there around them.
Gotcha. So do you have appointment setters that are doing cold outreach, or is it all inbound?
So everything that we do is outbound.
Okay.
So including our software, outbound messaging software for LinkedIn, it's going to be able to run the outbound. So the majority of them, they leverage our software in conjunction with phone, email, they mine Facebook groups, and we give them all the tools that they need in order to conquer all of them.
So what challenges have you seen? Now, you're training. Now, you have over 100 people in the organization, 100 employees, over the course of the last 18 months, right? What challenges have you seen with that type of growth?
Yeah. So challenges, wow. In the beginning,
let's go with 1, 2, 3. So
Yeah.
let's say number one challenge where the whole C-level suite, the C-suite is like, oh fuck, like this one was the biggest hurdle to overcome.
Yeah.
What do you think that number one was?
Number one challenge is having people come out. So we grew expansively during COVID. So the number one thing was that when we initially built it out, it was a remote team. We had 3 of us, 3 people, move out to Indianapolis to the headquarters in this janky office with the founders. Those 3 people did absurd numbers compared to everyone else, and they killed it.
Because they were in office?
Yep, because they were around it 24/7. What we did was we established a culture with them, and we said, hey, this first group of people, you're going to be with us, you're going to go out with us, you're going to eat with us, you're going to see the way that we live. You're going to model that. It's going to become who you are, so it gets their mindset going, their motivation is there, they're around the right people. It's who you surround yourself with is who you are. And so we make that their culture, and the number one hurdle was getting people to abandon whatever they were doing, whatever life they were living, who started working with us on a remote sales team.
So how do you how do you even communicate that? Like, hey, like you left Miami. Like we had dinner the other night. We went to Fleming's out in Summerlin in Vegas, and you share with me your story about you leaving Miami to go to Indianapolis. Like, first of all, who in their right mind leaves Miami to go to Indianapolis, right?
Yeah.
So you were part of that group that made that move to be 100% in.
Yeah, I was the first one.
Oh, you were the first one, and then so. How do you even communicate that to someone like, hey, I want you to leave, Texas, I want you to leave Boston, wherever you're at in the world, and come to Indianapolis?
Same exact way you'd sell a prospect. You always ask people, where are you now? Where do you want to be? How are we going to get there? And the same exact way that you have someone establish that and establish your product, your offering, your software as the vehicle for your prospect, joining your team and coming out there and seeing the results that the people who have out there have creates that as the vehicle that drives them. So it's always, where are you now? Where do you want to be? How do we make that happen?
Now, and you mentioned now, like as far as like formula and processes and team structure, you have over 100, but what was it like? What is it? 96 don't get paid hourly or salary?
Yeah, the majority are not paid hourly
or salary.
Yep.
So it's all like really commission based.
Mm-hmm.
So people move for a commission job.
Yep.
What's the idea behind that?
So the idea behind that,
I see the benefit, but I'm an entrepreneur. I've been in sales for years, so I see the benefit of taking such a leap of faith. But how do you convince the everyday person, or do you just not have any everyday person in your company and you figure out a process to hire great talent?
Everyone in our company is under the age of 30.
Mm-hmm.
All of our salespeople, the oldest salesperson I believe is 24. So what we do is we grab people who are in college, outside of college, they're dropouts maybe, but they have an ability to speak. They have an ability to have a conversation with someone to sell. And what we'll do is we basically provide them the platform, their voice, put them around different surroundings of people. You're the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most. We make sure, we actually require people to be in our office for the first week that they're hired for training. We don't tell them you need to be here. But they do, kind of.
Yeah.
We don't tell them you need to be here. Instead, in that 1 week, they love the vision, they love the culture, they love the people, they start making money. They see what everyone's making compared to the people who we kept virtual who are still on board. And the people make the decision themselves. Like, we don't ever push them. They make that decision based on the culture we've created.
I see. Okay, powerful. So now talk about the software. Talk about what you created, so that way that everyone here also does understand, the power behind it.
Of course. So every single business owner needs to do one thing or multiple things. You need to have daily activity. You always need to keep your pipeline open. You need to make calls. You need to make texts. You need to make emails. You need to make messages on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. That's why we have VAs. Now, that's also why we have software. So what we do with the software is we took LinkedIn, #1 platform for B2B leads in 2020. Over 80% of all of them were from LinkedIn for online media. We created a software that automates and personalizes the initial connection message up to 10 follow-ups and gives you their phone number and email. And along with it, we do a 3-week education process with a course that teaches people how to get the most out of the #1 platform for B2B professionals today.
So, do you think that this process at some point will die out?
So I think everything does at one point. If I'm going to be completely honest, take Facebook, for example. Facebook, if you take it in 2008 to 2011, it's a full blue ocean opportunity. You take it in the 2010s now, it's not a blue ocean, but it's still an ocean. You go into Facebook today, iOS has...
It's red.
Heard it, it's red.
Yeah.
Right? And so there's still ways to do Facebook, though. Custom audiences.
Mm-hmm.
That is, I think, the only way to do Facebook ads today. Now, LinkedIn is something that's growing right now at the same rate Facebook did from 2008 to 2011. It's that blue ocean. It's in that end of 2009, early 2010s phase right now.
Because of what happened with COVID, where businesses are online and team members are more, acclimated to doing business online.
Yep. It's like you say, opportunities in the show up, and you couldn't show up for the last year.
Right,
So where are we going to show up? To
online.
The only platform that's virtual and meant for B2B people to network.
Powerful, powerful. So right now, your organization is capitalizing on the blue ocean.
Yep. And we're the main thing that we focused on is we're the only LinkedIn tool that's going to help you out maximize your outreach on there that provides an educational and a done with you process. So we ensure that every single person understands how to use LinkedIn, because when you first start anything, I mean, dude, when I went to drive my first car at 15 when I got my permit, took it without my parents. I drove this Infiniti G35, drove it over, took a left turn when I should have made a right turn, and rammed into a Montessori school fence. No one taught me how to drive.
Yeah.
So you need to be taught the right way to use technology, especially if you're a business owner who's been working in the physical networking world for years and years.
I see that in your model, in Connected's model, and I mean, it's a bold fucking move. It's a bold move to essentially, first of all, you didn't even allow signups on your landing page, right? You got to go through someone to schedule a demo, and then when you schedule a demo, there's a price point. But I can see that it really educates the user, number one, on how to use the platform. Number two, how to use the platform. Number two, the process, so that way they can win with the platform, right? Instead of just try for a month or even a free trial, one of those type of things. It's like, no, you got to go through an individual so you really get onboarded. And being, seeing not the back end, but seeing the user interface of the platform, I can see how that can be very beneficial to the user. Now, has that supported in retention?
Yeah. So 73% of people don't log on to a SaaS software a second time after buying it. What does having an onboarding price that's more costly than you'd think have someone do?
But let me ask you this: Do you think that can affect the real potential of users coming onto the platform? That barrier of entry.
Yeah. So it does two things. The first thing that it does is I don't look at it as a barrier to entry. I look at it as, let's qualify you.
Okay.
Are you someone, for instance, when we first started out, we would go down to like a $500 onboarding for the lowest price if someone would hassle. What we realized as we progressed was that every single one of our support tickets, every single one of our disgruntled customers
came from that group.
Was that group. None of them were the people who paid full price. Never.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
The second thing it does is if you have to pay an onboarding to start even using something,
you're serious.
You're serious. You're going to log into it again. You're going to take the time to learn it. And so it allowed for that 73% of people who don't log on to a software for a second time have to. Especially when you do a training 1 week, then you do another a week later, that's a second time, another a week later, that's a third time. We're looking at the data with them. We're optimizing their profile with them. 52-page slide deck on every single person who signs up just on their LinkedIn profile, sent to their email and gone over with them.
So they go through an extensive experience before they even use the software, so that the way they can really maximize the software and grow their business. Powerful, and I found that to be true. Even with our services, as I shared, portion of our business is the VA services, and I found that when we dissected our VA's services to be at an hourly rate, number one, there was a couple things. For a business owner to go through our services and they hired a virtual assistant to work for 10 hours a week, it showed me that they weren't serious about, serious in the business. They're just looking for, I don't know, maybe someone to post on their social media. That's number one. And therefore missing out the real benefits of utilizing the virtual assistant that we trained for them, hired them, onboarded them. And then number two, our support challenges came from that specific, these two tiers. The lower and the mid came from that. The higher was like, hey man, my VA works fine. It's amazing. It's so I like the way you said it. It is a qualification matter to qualify them and say, hey, if you're looking for lower, I don't know, man, try something else. But if you are looking for what this can really give you, then you pay full price for it. That's amazing. That's powerful. What's been your biggest learning hurdle now? How long have you been in the organization? You've been in there for how long?
About 11 months now.
11 months. So what's been your biggest, realization as to what this business can really create in the future?
So my biggest realization, as a preface to it too, this, but before Connected, I was a serial entrepreneur myself. And I got things to the point where I would get to 6 figures and not be able to scale any further. And it was the largest hurdle for me was one, knowing that I needed to delegate things. So exactly what you work in, that's why I love what you do, man, is you need to be able to delegate what you're not good at or what the minutia of your day is.
Was there a turning point for you that really brought that out? Like,
Yep.
like created, what was that turning point for you?
So there was a time that I'd been there for about 2 to 3 months, and we started hiring people, and they empowered me to be a leader, but they put me in a position where I needed to manage the sales team along with contribute my sales.
Mm-hmm.
And so what that did was I got to a point where I was like, hey, I enjoy the sales more. I'm better at it. The management of people, I'm great at educating. I'm not great at holding other people accountable.
Yeah.
And so someone else his name's Chris. So he's in that role now. And myself, I focus on what I'm good at. And that was the biggest turning point, realizing that the people I was managing, I could educate them, I could train them, but I wasn't the one who was going to hold them accountable.
You know, I found, I suppose it comes down to, you know, what the project is, but systems has been my sense of freedom, having systems. So like even for accountability, I recently discovered on how to create systems for accountability where I can have one person that is reviewing the work of each team member and sending me back a report. And then, you know, we use, you know, project management software. I'm sure you're familiar. So we use project management software. So you have this one person that's constantly like checking in on your task, and it's not a good feeling to get a question on an update on a specific task if you're behind the due date. And so I see people now are rushing to complete the task, and that rush actually performs better work. It's kind of like that idea of if I have 3 weeks to create an essay, you know, 2 weeks in, I haven't even started, right? But when I have 24 hours left, I go all in, and next thing you know, I create this masterpiece. But so that experience with my team, they start creating, like if I give a task to, hey, you have 4 days to accomplish this, and they're like, this should take a week and a half. We got 4 days. Well, they're like, oh my gosh, like what the outcome of it is actually better than expected. And then by putting that accountability in has been a powerful resource where one person's reoccurring task is to check in on other people's tasks. Next thing you know, you have the system of accountability and processes. And
Dude, I love that for the accountability process. I haven't actually thought about it that way. But that part that you were talking about deadlines, we were just talking about that over at Fleming's too.
Yeah.
About shrinking deadlines.
Man, when you become, now one of the questions that I ask my team members every day is, what's your capacity at right now? It's a common question. It's a if not a daily question or at least a bi-daily question every 2 days. What's your capacity at right now? Because I'm purposely feeding more than I expect. You know, Gary Vee made a comment about his team's capacity is at 80%. So meaning that they can always add more, but he lives in this comfort zone. That's why he has like 800 employees. He lives in this comfort where his team should be comfortable. But let me share this with you, man, and you can share with me your take. I think everyone's progression is their progression. And one of the mistakes that I've made over the time of being an entrepreneur is looking at other successful entrepreneurs and trying to just mimic what they're doing and recognizing that shit has nothing to do with me. Like the way Grant Cardone runs his staff has nothing to do with me. But it's very attractive online, and so it's very tempting as a leader to want to create that thinking that work ethic is what is going to fix my challenges if I have any. But what I realized that if I stay present with what's in front of me, I'll create processes and tools and systems that works for what's in front of me with the team that I have, with the culture that I have and such. And so like when I see, you know, Gary Vee with his capacity at 80% and people are like, oh, everyone's happy and they're growing and scaling so fast, it's tempting to say I'll do that. But realistically for me, what I found is that if I stay true and hone in on my skills, my capabilities, and focus on my team that's in front of me, I produce way better. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on that?
I completely disagree with Gary Vee. Like, he can scale with those people, but the thing is, and everyone knows this, I mean, you only grow when you're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
How are you you can scale and these people can become great at the task that you give them with that 80% capacity, but that other 20%, what are you doing to grow that person? What are you doing to mold them into a person that can replicate you, that can take things off your plate, that is leadership, vision, capabilities, instead of the minutia of your day? And I think that's that other 20%, where yes, 80% of it should be That's their work day. That's what they do. The other 20% of that capability isn't just time they're not capable of doing things. The other 20% is them working on becoming a better leader, a better person, better skills. And so I think that's what truly matters for scaling.
Is the development of skills?
Development of leadership qualities. So, for instance, I'll give a perfect example. We had a guy come into our office who started with us about 4 or 5 months ago. He started with us in December. His name's Sterling. And for his first 6 weeks or 5 weeks, he had 0 sales. We were going to cut him. 0. And then he had all the leadership qualities. He was an ex-football player. Just didn't have it under his belt. So what we did is we poured into him for about a week. We locked him in a room with our top salespeople, and we said, watch, learn, do, replicate. After he replicated that, he was able, that's a replicable skill. Anything like that, that's something you watch, you can repeat, you can learn that. Now, the leadership quality, that requires the confidence from him fulfilling that skill and having good work in sales. So he got good at sales, became one of our top producers, had the daily activity, put himself at 100% capacity, probably 110% capacity. Now he's our best sales guy. The guy's doing $50K a month himself. And that's just in onboarding. That's not even recurring. He's doing $50K himself, and now he's in a position where everyone in the company is looking to him to be a leader, and the vision was instilled top down into him, where the 20% of his day that he's not selling, he's empowering others, and that's the real capability to grow that team.
Powerful, powerful, powerful. Now, scaling on the front end, does that force you to scale on the back end?
Without a doubt.
Yeah?
Dude, I remember...
When you think software, you think you don't really have to scale on the back end, it's automatic.
When you think software, you do, but something that I always like to say is we were a software company. We're not anymore. We were a software company. Today, we're an education company with a software that comes with it. And so the part that we need to scale isn't how do we provide more software, how do we cover the back end? That's just processing on the back end. That's AWS costs going up. Where you need to scale is your fulfillment and support. And so how do we fulfill more on the back end? And how we did that is the same exact way. We used VAs who did amazing work, and they got great at setting people up. And then we had daily meetings with our top VAs. And we said, hey, we're going to meet daily with you to empower you to be a leader and start giving you leadership qualities and have you learn more of that back end piece and become an expert there.
Did you have challenges in doing that?
In the beginning, it was a little bumpy, but after, I'd say the first month-ish, we were able to get two of our people, I think actually 3, one on the technical side, one on the education side, one on the support side, who all became very good at what they did. They've actually flown out to the U.S. now, and we've brought them out here, increased their pay. They lead vision top down to our VAs from within those places. And so we scaled it out that same way, and we were able to keep adding more educational pieces, like the 1, 2, 3 week process for education. It used to be 1 session. But as we grew, the people who they taught at the bottom of the VA chain could do the initial setup. The people who were growing into being leaders could do that 2nd week. And the people who have evolved into being those leaders as the VAs could take care of a 3rd week that's complete expert training.
Did that type of growth and that type of force of, not necessarily a force, but the opportunity of leadership force people to leave?
Yeah. We had people in the way beginning who left when we told them they couldn't be remote, who would have been amazing. We had people who decided to go remote, who we had to cut. We had the person who brought me into the company, who was our CRO, leave. We had a ton of people leave, but the thing is, by empowering the leaders beneath it, it was okay.
Even your energy of recruitment for sales, your energy to acquire new sales customers had to even go to internal because you got so many people leaving. Our turnover in the beginning when we did remote, I'd say about 50% of our team didn't stay. Okay. As we grew, once we got above that 30 to 50 mark, up to 100, our retention rate is about 94% of our internal hires. Gotcha. They all move because they're required to do it now, and they're fully committed. Same way onboarding does it. Are you searching? I have a prospect that I'm working with where their campaign, we're doing a pretty extensive marketing campaign, but their campaign is on recruiting. It's on recruiting because that's where their business lies. Like they need recruits, sales recruits. So has the focus been on top talent, or we're finding people with potential and then giving them the tools needed to grow? So hey, I need people who are already ready to go, ready to lock and load, or I need to find people who have potential, and then we put the processes and tools to train them up.
Yeah. Top talent needs salary. Top talent needs autonomy. They need to choose their own destiny. I don't like going after top talent when you're a startup.
Okay.
I love it when you're established. But when you're a startup, you need to build a commission-only sales team. So we don't take resumes. I hate resumes. Gotcha. I want to just meet you. I want to know a funny thing about you. We had one guy who jumped on a Zoom for an interview, and we said one question to him. What's a hidden skill that no one would ask you about? He goes, I can beatbox and freestyle. And on his interview, we go, do it, go. No fear. Guy goes right into it, starts freestyling about our software. You're hired. Come on. It's all potential and ability to have a conversation and not care what others think.
Is it remote or is it not remote?
Which?
Is when they get hired.
When they get hired, they have to come out for the first week.
So, but then they are remote?
That's up to them completely, but remote doesn't typically perform as well.
Gotcha. So when they're in, that's when they create. Mm-hmm. When they're in the office, that's when they create. And it's all commission. Now, do you get a lot of people who are like, dude, I'm not even interested to do just commission?
We have people, so no one actually has done that before, said we're not interested in commission because, I mean, we have people who are 20 years old making $15K a month.
But it's outbound?
It's outbound, but the thing is we give them connected, we give them website leads, we give them, everything, every tool that we can. We give them a video software, we give them CRM software, we give them email campaigns, and we create all of that for them.
So do you know the cost for each salesperson? Do you know the cost just to have them be there?
So the cost to have them be there,
from softwares, from tools,
yeah,
from even the phone down to the phone,
yeah.
How much is it?
So the exact number, something I'm not sure of. I know the range.
What's the range look like?
The range to keep them there for a month is in between the mid-hundreds to the low 1,000.
Okay, so it's pretty expensive.
Not really. I mean, if someone sells 2 accounts in a month, it covers the cost.
You make the money back.
Like we've had people who make $0 in a month, and they don't want to leave when we tell them you shouldn't be here. We'll find them a new job, and they say I don't want to leave. I love this too much. So it's like one.
Are they doing outbound?
Mm-hmm.
Are they doing phone outbound?
Mm-hmm.
Cold.
Or no.
No, because the software.
They get it from the software. They get the phone numbers.
They get the phone numbers from the software. So they have some type of warmth by the time you call them.
Yep. It's all a warm call. The intro is always the same with our team. Whenever they call someone, it's, hey, this is Daniel Wax. We connected on LinkedIn. Just wanted to give you a shout, man. I don't want anyone to be a statistic in my network. So you got like a minute or two for us to just meet each other, see if we could connect the dots?
Yeah. Now I see why you sell so many units. I see why you sell so many units. I mean, fuck, dude. Like, that's a fucking no-brainer. That's a no-brainer. And then as far as reach, right? As far as reach, how many people can the software tap into?
So reach 100 people a day that you're not connected to on LinkedIn, 360 people a day that you are.
So 360, and then what's the response rate? Do you have that data?
Yeah. An average acceptance rate on a connection request that's going outbound from our software is 25% of people.
So 25%, and on the acceptance, how many people respond to the message?
1/3 of them.
1/3
on average.
1/3 on average. So if we did, I don't even have the calculator to do the math, but what's the number?
So doing the calculation, if you're running 100 people a day, then you're going to have on average 25 of them accept your request to connect. You're going to have their data, that's phone number, email. They're going to see every post you make on LinkedIn. And 1/3 of those are going to respond, so about 8 people on average every day. Multiply that over a month with a pinpoint targeted on LinkedIn. You got 240 qualified leads jumping in your inbox.
This guy. And so how can people get in contact with you? As we wrap up, how can people get in contact with you?
Yeah, so you can find me on LinkedIn at Daniel Wax, or pro tip for everyone, custom LinkedIn URLs, linkedin.com/socialsellingking.
Social Selling King?
Or you can find me on Instagram at Watching Wax.
watching Wax. Hey, man, thank you so much for being on the episode.
Of course, man.
And be sure to
Thank you for
connect
having
with him and connect with LinkedIn, connect with Connected. The amount of times I said Connected this weekend has been outrageous. But connect with Connected, the king of social selling. Man, once again, thank you so much for being on the show, and we'll see you next week.
Welcome to the Business Owner Spotlight by AudateMedia. In this interview show, you will learn how to succeed through other people's stories, challenges that they overcame, and how they are winning in this new economy. You'll learn what to do in your business, what not to do in your business, and how others are succeeding. Tune in every week to discover new stories, new businesses, and new ideas.